So we have PEMDAS, order of operations, okay? When I was in 5th grade, we learned PEMDAS as, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, okay? And so Aunt Sally is how I remembered. Order of operations is a rule that tells you the sequence to follow when you're performing operations and mathematical expressions, okay? It's an expression because there's no equal sign typically. You're just evaluating, or you're only evaluating one side of the equal sign. What the biggest mistake with PEMDAS is that people forget that it's or, whichever comes first from left to right. Okay, just because it says MD doesn't mean M is going to always happen first. Does that make sense? Or D is going to always happen first. Or AS doesn't mean addition is going to happen first. The key thing that is unspoken in PEMDAS is the or between M and D. Okay, so be mindful of that. When you are doing order of operations, you're going to evaluate all your exponents. Then do any negation after evaluate exponents. So like if you got to subtract or all that things, all it takes place after your exponents. Do all multiplication and division from left to right, and do all addition and subtraction from left to right. So let's practice operations here. So what would be the first operation that we would do here? Parentheses. So we would evaluate 1 minus 5. So doing our P first will leave us with 3 negative 4 squared minus 4 squared. Agreed? What would be the second thing we would do? We would do our exponents, which means we're going to square our negative 4 and our positive 4. So that leaves us with 3 times 16 minus 16. What will we do the third? Multiply. So I have 3 times 16, which gives me 48. And then lastly, we would subtract. And what is 48 minus 16? 32. Okay, that is what it means to evaluate using PEMDAS. Sounds familiar? We all remember? You got those skills somewhere? All right. Let's try another one, a little bigger. Okay, so here, a lot of times we don't think of absolute values as parentheses. However, this is a form of parentheses. Okay, so the absolute value would count as a parentheses. So the first thing we would do here is parentheses. The other thing is that there are unspoken parentheses within a fraction. Your numerator and your denominator have invisible parentheses. So you would acknowledge those as well. Okay, so when we start with the P, our parentheses, we have 3 things that we have to do. So we have 10 minus 6, which is 4. We have 5 minus 3, which is 2. And we have 7 minus 2, which is 5. How do we feel about the acknowledgement of parentheses? Okay. The second thing here is our we don't have exponents, so we're going to either we're going to multiply and or divide. In this situation, what is it? We have divide, right? We have 4 divided by 2, which is 2, and then we're going to evaluate our absolute value, which is just 5. And then the third step is to add and subtract from left to right. So it's add or subtract, and you're going to go from left to right, just like we read. So 2 minus 4 is going to give me negative 2 minus 5 is going to give me. And so my answer is negative 7. Again, are we feeling good about this? If this is something you're comfortable with, is it necessary for you to write down? Yes. Yes. So just to test your skills, I would like you to do this, because this should be something familiar. Can someone tell me what this is set up as? The quadratic formula. Okay, so I would like you to use your PEMDAS skills to evaluate the quadratic formula that is filled in and presented to you. So I'm gonna give you like 90 seconds, see what you got. Okay, so evaluating this, you had a lot to do with parentheses on the inside, right? So you had negative 12 plus or minus 12 squared, which was 144, minus 4 times 8, which is negative 32, times negative 2, all over 16. Continue to evaluate. You have negative 12 plus or minus the square root of 144 plus 64 divided by 16, which equals negative 12 plus or minus the square root of 208 divided by 16. Did anyone get any further than this? No? Just want to see what your skills, how far your skills would take you. It isn't, but 208, which we're going to review, can be broken down. So 208 can be broken down to 4 times 52. 452 can be broken down to 2 and 26. 26 can be broken down to 2 and 13. So this is, you have a pair of 2's and a pair of 2's. 4 square root of 13. I just want to see how far you would go. And then this can be reduced to negative 3 plus or minus square root of 13 over 4. Don't worry, you get more practice with it. But that is how much this could be fully evaluated. Okay. A lot of little things that we've learned in the past, and some of y'all more than a year. Okay. And if you're currently in the class right now, you haven't learned it yet. All right. So yes, so we'll be using PEMDAS a lot.